We are here to review episode 3 of season 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race, RuCo's Empire. So why don't we kick it off with the mini challenge, which was to drag up some plain black justice robes.
I didn't know exactly what they were supposed to do with them, and I don't think they did either based on what they gave us. So I just kind of went off of like what ones I liked the most, which is purely personal preference and not really any merit to it at all. But my most dusted would either be Acid or Thorgy. So I guess I'll go with Thorgy because I like her better.
Mine was Thorgy because along with the creating the robes, they had to fill out like a little card about like what their claim to fame is, what their achievement is, their law background, just like something really funny to give some character to the garment. And Thorgy said like her biggest claim to fame is the verdict that she made it okay to stop traffic and tap dance, which I thought was hilarious. And RuPaul was having so much fun with these.
That was my favorite, Cuckoo Freedom.
My favorite was Kim Cheese. She said that she got her start at the law firm of Ching, Chang, and Chong.
That being said, I did have Kimchi as my busted, just because I thought of everybody, she kind of did the least with it. I thought Derek and Robbie were also pretty bad.
I put down Robbie for my most busted.
It didn't look like anything.
No, it didn't look like anything. You're right.
Threw stuff on, and it didn't really go with a character. There wasn't any method to it that I could tell. So then RuPaul says that he's bringing a queen back, and it's Naysha, which I thought was a very underwhelming start to the episode.
It's like, oh, how was your 2-day vacation?
And they don't really make a big deal out of her coming back, which...
Because it's not a big deal.
Exactly. And then they just go right on to the main challenge, which is a huge acting challenge, RuCo's Empire, based off of Empire, the Lee Daniels saga. And so they split up into teams, and there's clearly a black team and a not-so-black team. And it kind of really came through in their performances. But Chi-Chi just comes out and says it, and she said, I think the other team should be worried because they have a lot of girls that are just, like, not black.
Hashtag Aryan Airlines.
Aryan Airlines, yes, exactly. Something else I thought was pretty cool because Robbie Turner, she is an acting queen. Robbie knows what she's doing, and she was giving them really funny things to do, really cool things to do to like ad-lib and go off script and make their character even better. But I just thought it was cool to see that the other queens recognized like this person has a great asset to this challenge, so we should use it and not be insecure about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Naysha's team, Derek was just really out of place. They always throw in like the little lesbian role.
Mm-hmm.
And it never goes well. It never goes well. I think every time they've had the token lesbian in the acting challenge, the person has just failed miserably.
Yeah, you're right. I never thought of it that way.
And I feel like, yes, of course, the best queens can take any role and make it into something huge. Like, look at Latrice Royale. She had one line. Get those nuts away from my face. And she stole the whole thing. So, yes, the argument stands that if you are good at what you do and you're a good performer and you can turn out an acting challenge, it doesn't matter if you're the star of the whole thing or if you're the upholstered chair in the corner. Like, you should be able to turn it out. However, consistently, every single season, every single team, every single episode, the lesbian role is not played well, and I think it's not written very well. It's not inherently as funny or as entertaining as the other choices. Later in the episode, then we get to see the full performances, and Thorgy was the breakout star of Team Naysha. I mean, she did an amazing job. Not that she had to try that hard to stand out in that group, but she really took that character and did something with it. The fight scene that she choreographed, where she just like beats the living shit out of her, that was so meticulously choreographed and performed so well. Like, if one of them would have missed a mark, that broom was going to like slap her across the face. So, and she put a lot of energy into it, and I just thought that was incredible. So that was really fun to watch. And then, of course, Team Naomi was just incredible.
So my most dusted overall of the scenes would definitely have to be Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Just her going off script and just her her delivery, and just she was so funny, so entertaining, and just so believable.
At the end, when she was going around and like stealing people's stuff off of their dead bodies, it was like when the Grinch goes down to Whoville and starts going through people's cabinets.
I could totally see Bob the Drag Queen on like Saturday Night Live, some sort of variety show for sure.
Most busted.
It's hard because there were 4 that were pretty bad.
Right. Because you had Derek, you had Robbie, you had Cynthia, who wasn't great.
And I honestly thought Kimchi was nothing that special.
No.
Even when she improved, she still wasn't that great.
Relying on that same joke over and over, the tongue pop.
And the thing is, I noticed this. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but when Ru was saying, like, add, like, a mouth smack, he meant literally, like smacking your mouth. He didn't mean like a tongue pop.
It's not the Alyssa Edwards tongue pop. It's like you're like chonking on bubble gum, basically.
Derek as my most busted.
Derek was your most busted?
Just for the challenge, for the scene.
See, now here's a thing that I'm trying to reconcile in my brain. And it's not going to be a popular opinion. But in an ensemble challenge where clearly there's like a bigger role in each team and then the smaller roles in it, is it worse to have a larger role and do it very poorly? Or is it worse to have a not so large role and just kind of fade into the background? Cynthia and Derek had the same sort of character where they have this huge thing at the end and they have these big lines and it's supposed to be this big dramatic thing. And they both screwed it up royally. Robbie had like just a few lines, very small part, very small character, and just kind of faded into the background. I would say that of the 3, Robbie's the least culpable. I know that's not going to be a popular opinion, but it's to me it's the difference between being in the bottom 2 or being safe. Safe is a 4-letter word, but you're not going home.
Yeah, I get that. I respect your opinion.
The runway category was Roller Girl Realness. And RuPaul comes skating down the runway. I love that. That was so great.
Apparently, none of the girls knew that he was going to do that. I was reading something that someone was at Our Place, which is the bar that Robbie Turner performs at and hosts all the viewing parties. And when that came on the TV, she was like gagging. And then she posted about it on Facebook. She's like, I did not know that bitch was coming down in skates.
That's awesome. It shows such a more playful side of RuPaul. Like, I don't know. She's always so stoic. And I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I definitely think that this episode showed more humanity in her.
It showed more vulnerability from RuPaul.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with my most busted. And, I mean, okay, so because Cynthia's kind of a given, I'm going to go a little bit off script here and say that Naomi was my most busted because nothing about that said Roller Girl Realness. She came out in lingerie and skates, and then when you heard her talking about it, she even said, she was like, it doesn't really fit the challenge, but, you know, I'm serving it, so it's fine.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you now. I didn't at first, but...
Maybe she just didn't understand the assignment.
So my most busted, obviously, was Cynthia. Honorable mention. I don't know if you can call it an honorable mention for most busted. Dishonorable mention. I'm going to go ahead and say it, and we're probably going to get read for filth for this, but second most busted besides Cynthia was Bob. That basic Candy Ho Robotica catsuit, and her makeup just isn't up to par with the other girls.
His persona and his look is not necessarily about the makeup, but at some point there still needs to be some sort of finesse to that component of it.
And it's kind of like if they're going to ask Derek to continually do something different to show that he can do more than one thing, then that has to be applied to everyone.
That was the other thing about Acid's runway. It's getting a little predictable, and it's, I don't know, her runway looked like what Kennedy was going for when she was crystallized and morphosized. My most dusted, Robbie.
Me too.
She had the best look. Thorgy was a real close second.
I definitely agree with you there.
I mean,
give or take that wig that Robbie was wearing, I still thought
I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think the wig was that bad, because if you look at what hair was during that era of life, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, she could have easily like taken a different wig, but styled it the same way and have it not look so like crunchy.
Thirsty.
Yeah, but I definitely thought that her little star booty with the rhinestones and everything, hers was easily like my favorite outfit on the runway. Another honorable mention besides Thorgy, I thought Naisha looked really good.
Yeah, she stepped her pussy up, because she even said it in Untucked. She was like, whenever a girl comes back, they go home right away, and that's not going to happen to me.
So the lip sync was to Mesmerized by Faith Evans, and the two girls who land in the bottom are Cynthia and Robbie. And before the song starts playing, RuPaul gives them the choice: heels or wheels. Cynthia picks first, and she picks heels. Robbie picks wheels, and I think that was the moment that Cynthia sashayed away.
Yep, that was it.
And then we get to the actual lip sync, which just blew me away. It started out pretty even, Cynthia versus Robbie, and the first time I watched it, I was like, I'm not so sure Cynthia lost that lip sync. And then I watched it again, and I was like, yeah, definitely it was a Robbie lip sync for sure. She broke lights on the stage. She jumped off the stage at the end. Like, she killed it. Not to mention her actual lip sync was tight.
And the whole roller skate thing aside, of course, that gave her the edge. And like you said, like, it was over the moment she picked wheels over heels. But Cynthia was freaking giving it too. And I guess I would rather see her go up against Robbie in heels and do well than have her try to do wheels and just like fall on her ass.
Exactly. It's the same thing we've said since like season 6. We want to see queens do well.
Exactly.
Why don't you start this out?
All right. So, Acid Berry was so, to quote the children, salty this week. Good God. So I was having a great time watching this. This was fine. And then whenever they do the video messages, they're a little emotional. And so they brought out the video message, and it was for Kimchi, and it was Trixie Mattel. She was talking to her. They were having a good time. Acid Betty is making all of these snide remarks while the video is still playing. That is the thing that pissed me off more than anything about it. It's like, not to, dig up old things here, but like, that was actually her moment. Like, you can shut up until that video clip is done.
Not to compare the queens, but like Acid and Bianca. Think of like when Laganja had her moment. God, that's never gonna not be funny. Bianca was actually like genuinely nice to her, saying, You are a great person, and we do love you. And I agree with everything they said, except for the fact that they think you're going to win, because it was genuine, and then she ended on a joke. In the middle of the video, Acid just straight up says, her makeup's ugly. And that's the end of it. She didn't even try to be funny about it.
The worst part was she kept coming back to it. You know how you make a bad joke worse? You keep trying to tell it. And it's like, girl, no one has taken the bait. And then Derek was the only one who even really like stood up for Kimchi. But I mean, even that was kind of lame. I was hoping someone was going to flip a table. Like, I was ready for that moment. But she kind of just she was very polite about, you know, like, you shouldn't do that. That's not very nice. But I was like, come on, what's the deal? And I don't, do you think the other girls are honestly scared of her?
I think so. I don't think Bob was joking, saying she was going to go off someday.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm sure they think she's going to go postal, so, you know, they don't want to be the first one to go down in the line of fire when that happens. My quote of the week comes from Carson, and I want him to be a permanent judge so badly, because when RuPaul comes out at the beginning of the runway, he talks to each judge and asks them like a question or does a little joke. And Ru looks at Carson and he says, "What's your favorite kind of cookie?" And Carson goes, "I like those Samoans." And Michelle looks at him and starts laughing, and she goes, "Samoas." And he looks at her, she goes, "Samoans are people. Samoas are the cookie." Oh, Carson, he's so enthusiastic and so just blissfully ignorant about some of these things.
My quote of the week also comes from Carson. It's in response to something Michelle said to Acid Betty on the runway, because kind of what we're going back to how predictable Acid is. Carson just kind of makes a little jab at Michelle's critiques, which we defended last week, and now this week I feel like she turned her back on us. But anyway, my quote comes from Carson, making fun of Michelle. "Be you, but don't be you. Do less, but more."
And we haven't had Ross for a while, so that's been a blessing.
Dusted and busted of the week.
Thorgy is my most dusted.
Same here.
Because Bob's runway didn't do anything for me, but her performance did. And Robbie's runway was the best, but her performance didn't do anything for me. And Thorgy did well on both, so good for you. Busted.
Because I'm not ever going to be able to say it again. Cynthia.
I think my most busted was also Cuckoo Freedom. So predictions for next week. I haven't watched anything, but I do see that Lucian is back.
Yeah, they're doing like a girl group challenge.
Mm-hmm.
They each have to do like a new wave band, and they get to split into their own teams. So it's Team New York versus what I call Team Talent, or Robbie, Kimchi, and Naomi, and then Team Leftovers. So Naisha, Chi-Chi, and Derek.
Naisha and Derek and Chi-Chi, they might turn it out though.
They can all sing.
And kind of dance.
They have good ideas from what I've seen too. I think Team New York might have trouble just because of their personalities clashing, trying to outdo each other. And like, remember when they all came into the workroom for the first time? Like, that kind of energy.
Yes, it's very that.
Do we have anything else to say for the good of the order?
I don't think so. That was everything I had for this. So that was our review of this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. Join us next week, and we'll see you then. Bye.